Recording as well.
Five, 4, 2, 1.
Alright. I'm
I
gonna
think it
tweet out.
looked good. I think the video looked good last week.
Is this what season is this?
2.
Season
We're on
two, season
Episode
2, episode 2.
2. 2.2.
Alright. Oh my god, yay, it started. Hey, so how's it going, everybody? Just as last time, if you guys joined us during the live stream of the episode, when we actually start the show, and we'll let you guys know right before we start it, that's going to be uploaded to YouTube. We want you guys to know that we will not be paying attention to the chat, and we won't actually be interacting with you guys in the chat because people that watch the YouTube video aren't going to see the chat, so it won't make sense to them. So just so you guys know. But we do really appreciate you guys being in here and supporting us.
Chris has been in here for 30 minutes.
That's dedication right there.
Yep.
Bravo, golf clap.
I hope that sounded like a clapping and not something else. Okay. Whenever you're ready to start, Nick, you can crop the video down to whenever you want to.
I don't know
Hit it.
if I... Oh, I am signed in. Okay. What is up, guys? Season 2, carrying on with episode 2 here. And back again with me is Evan and Travis.
Bonjour.
Good evening.
There'll be a language translator for that greeting for Travis on the YouTube video. I thought it was funny that last week when Travis did his top 5, I promised to put links in there, and like 3 people called me out on it immediately because of course I forgot to do it. I was like, God. So I made Evan do it.
Yeah, I pulled up the Slack for you, Nick.
He did. So real quick, guys, I want to run over a few updates. Josh will be joining us as soon as he possibly can. He ran into some issues with his home office. They had some bad weather, and so he's having to do a little work on his office. But he said that he really wanted to be back this week, but unfortunately he could not. So he will be rejoining us soon. So we're very excited about that. Also, this week I did confirm that our friend Mosquitan is going to be on the show next week, next Monday. That's March 2nd. So that is going to be a really interesting show. He is a illustrator and print designer, and also he delves in a little animation as well. So really cool guy. I think it's going to be a fun show. So
I'm really excited about
you
that,
have
man.
that to look forward to.
He's really good.
It's going to be a good show. He's got some amazing work. So this week we are going to talk a little web design, web development, spider webs, any web really. We're going to talk about it.
Charlotte's Web.
Buckle up because this could get deep.
We're gonna get in so many arguments.
So many.
Yeah.
So many. The good thing is that we all have a bit of web experience, and even though Josh isn't here, he also does some web design for sure, and he dabbles in web development as well. So it should make for some interesting content, whether you're new to web design or you're an experienced designer. It should be a good time.
Sweet.
Cool.
So I want to kick it off with the topic that I harp on a lot. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll know this. But personal websites, I think, for anybody, whether you're an illustrator, a designer, whatever field of creative design you're in, I think a personal website is a must-have. It just gives you that level of professionalism that you wouldn't have otherwise. and I just think it's essential.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree on that. I mean, how many times have you guys been asked, like you tell someone you're a designer and one of the first questions, if not always the first question is, "Oh, what's your website?" Um, I think Nick has some technical difficulties, aka little ones having a hard time going to bed.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I'm always asked the moment I say like, oh, I do, graphic design, a little bit of web design. People always ask, oh, well, what's your website? And which is funny that we're talking about this because I actually don't have one right now, technically. I don't have like my own just yet. I'm working on it right now, actually, and it's gonna be. I had a hard time picking a domain name. That's always fun. Of course, TravisHowell.com was taken, so. I ended up finally landing on just something really easy to remember. It's going to be TravisTheDesigner.com. Yeah.
Nice.
But
I've been having your own personal website for, even if you don't do web development, I strongly encourage having one. In past jobs when we've hired other designers and other creative people, I mean, that's one of the first things I even look for on a resume, and especially if there was no like work samples or project samples got sent with it, right? Because I mean, a while back, I've had a few jobs way back where when I applied for them, I sent a printed portfolio to them to try to get my foot in the door. But that was before websites were had such a huge importance in this type of career. And one of the first things I look for on a resume is, do they have a website? And specifically, do they have a website where the domain is something that's easy to remember, something shorter. It doesn't have to be their own like personal domain, but even if it's like say it's a portfolio up on Behance or something, it's whatever slash maybe their name or something that makes sense. If it's something like slash and then a random like your gamer tag, I'm probably not going to take it very seriously.
Yeah.
So it's gotta, that's one thing I look for right off the bat. And it's funny how much weight that carries anymore. It's if I don't see one, it's like, I don't know. I don't know. You got to go back and forth through email and send me examples. Well, what have you worked on? What have you done? And so it's very important to have a website.
I think
creative.
I was just gonna say, I think a part of that too is just like you said, Evan, if you're looking at a resume and they have zero web presence, what does that say about them as a designer? Like, do they, to me, if someone has a website, it means that they actually kind of take some pride in their work. They like to showcase it online and get feedback, and they're kind of part of the whole designer sort of community in a way. But if they have like zero web presence, like you said, it's just kind of, what does that mean? It's almost like a subconscious thing, too. It's like you got to dig further into what they're actually all about, what kind of style they have, like.
Well, I've come across. I've had resumes also sent where they'll have their public website open, and then they'll actually have like a private URL to maybe additional work or work that goes more in depth, stuff that they don't want it easily accessible on the web, but have even password protected. Sometimes I've gone to a site where it was something.com, and then there was they gave me the password to check it out because it had a lot of stuff that they don't want other people lifting and using.
Right.
So,
that's actually mine is going to be like that. Mine is actually going to be password protected, and it's not necessarily because I don't want people to lift my designs, but it's more so that a lot of it is client work and stuff like that it doesn't necessarily need to be public on it. Like you're not going to find some Behance of the guy who created like the. I'm not saying this is verbatim, but like the Twitch branding or something, Yeah, like you can't go and find like the YouTube branding on Behance. You know what I mean? Like the designer's not going to put that stuff out there. It's a client thing. It's between him and the client. So, but if it's really good, you still want to show it to potential employers. So password protected is good for that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, what do you guys think about as far as the work that you post on your site? Is it something that you want to post everything and then separate it out with like a category sort of section, or do you think it's best to just show your top pieces, or
Yes.
what are your thoughts on that?
For me, thinking as an employer, um, I'm only going to want to see maybe like 9 logos, 9 print work, 9 websites, and maybe 9 whatever. That's all I need. That's all you really need to say, can this guy design a logo? Can this guy design a website? If you saturate it with like 50 something projects and you're just scrolling through, it gets a little kind of, it's just overwhelming, like, and that might not be your best work. So my opinion, put your very, very best work, put enough, logo design or web design or whatever you're kind of into, put enough that shows diversity. Don't put up like 9 corporate style logos. Put up 3 corporate style logos. Put up 3 kind of very like, vintage style, and then maybe put 3 that are more kind of, out of the box, something like, you know what I mean? Don't put up 9 websites that are all educational. Put up some websites that are very dark themed. Put a website that's light themed, and then put up a website that's more focused on the sort of like admin control panel style to show that you can design really cool UI, which we'll talk about in a little bit what UI is.
Well, it doesn't have to be those categories specifically, but definitely show the breadth of what you're capable of working on. If you can do just one style, say something that's much more playful or grungy or loud or whatever it may be, and then if you have another sample that's very serious or minimal or basic or whatever it is, just show that you've got a range of style there that you can when asked to do something, it's
Right.
you would the employer would already know that, okay, I've seen that you have something like this, you can do that, or I've seen that you have something like this and I know you can do that. And only put up, in my opinion, only put up your best work. Don't just put up work just to fill a portfolio. That's not a good idea.
Yeah, you should really only put up the works that are very like precious to you and very like the more, I guess in my opinion, but it just depends on what you were handed. The projects that have a very expansive different mediums, those are really good. It shows that you can not only design the brand at its core in terms of logo and color theory and type and all that stuff, but that you can then take that and apply it to several things. Those are always really cool. And if you can show process, you're golden. If you can show process, if you can show a sketch, just take a picture of your sketchpad of you drawing out all these different logo ideas, and then like have one circled, that's the one you use, and then show the different processes even within the program. That is really, really good, because if they can see that creative thinking process, they know for a fact that you're the kind of person that.
Yeah, but that goes really well for when I see portfolios where it's talking about web design, where if it's a web design, if I see projects that are just the finished piece, I don't know, it doesn't really tell me, even though it may look really good and it may be a well done design, it doesn't tell me how much of it was actually, because I'm thinking of the actual process to get up to that. So if you have even photos of a sketchbook of, say, the wireframes you did, or a low fidelity mock-ups of just laying things out with gray boxes, that tells me that you thought it through and that you understand the process of doing it, but also because that's the same process that they use in the industry. So you don't go straight from, hey, we want to make a homepage, to show me a final homepage. It doesn't go like that. You go through the low fidelity stuff. You You figure out the composition of where things are going to go. What goes in the menu? What's the architecture like? What's the site map like? You go through all these steps, and then you finally get into let's make it pretty. So
Yeah.
if you can show that you understand how to, it's like building a house. You go through the conversations with the architect. You do the blueprinting. You
Yeah.
do the figuring out the actual, the making sure everything's going to be within permit, and then you finally get to all right, let's build this thing.
Yeah, it's like 90% planning and
Yep.
10% doing execution.
So if you can show that, yeah, then you're golden. You're that's a
That's
huge help.
that's what people
That's-
mean. That's what people mean when they say the concept is good, the execution is bad, or the concept is bad, but the execution is good. When,
Yeah.
in terms of logo or website, what they're telling you, and trust me, I hear this every week at my agency job, because sometimes I'm not fully understanding the concept, and that means that I need to go back to the planning phase. You can execute the most beautiful logo, but if it doesn't hit the client's needs, it's worthless.
And the thing about a good concept is it makes the execution part so much easier, because you're basically, it's sort of like doing the line work in your illustration. A good concept can almost be like tracing on the computer your line work that you've laid out for the website or whatever it is you're making. It's just you have
Yeah.
a good plan that you can follow, and of course it's not going to look exactly the same, right? Because you're going to make some design decisions as you go. But if you have the core of what it is in the concept, it's going to make the design phase a lot smoother, and it's going to look a lot better in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's the
So
importance of a case study as well. You have the pretty pictures on the front, but then whenever somebody clicks on a piece, it's nice to see that case study where you talk about, sort of what the client was looking for. You show your process, and then also I think it's important to show after it was done, how did this help the client? If it's a logo, how did they implement it into their business, or how did it help their business grow? Because that showing that growth says, I do work that will make you money, and that's what people care about in the end. Is
yeah.
The success. Yeah.
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 So
the suc-
to go back to that core question, as far as how important is it to have a web presence with your portfolio, whether again it's your own domain or it's just hosted on Behance or something like that. It's extremely important because again, if you have two resumes in front of you and one has a website where you can go and experience all of the stuff we just talked about, and the other one just has maybe like a couple printouts of a website, I mean, dude, you're gonna go with the guy that's got a website up or a portfolio online. And on top of that, some employers may not call you back for a month, right? Maybe they are so swamped that they don't have time to look at your portfolio until a month later. Well, guess what? In between that 1 month, maybe you designed the most best website of all time. You can slap that on your website, and they're gonna see it by the time they hit your domain. So, and that's the coolest thing about online portfolios. They're so fluid, and you can update them so easily, and just put your best work forward. And you don't have to keep printing them out.
Yeah.
you can make the argument that a printed resume is like a chapter book compared to online resume is like a comic, right? So it's interesting to look at, and it keeps you engaged. Whereas a chapter book, you got to kind of fill in the blanks.
Yeah. I mean, you got to think about that too. The people looking at your portfolio site in terms of employment or anything like that, they're also visual people. They're in the visual community. They want to see flashy, cool stuff. They don't want to look through a very plain text resume and then it's like, oh yeah, here's a few printouts on 8.5 by 11 of my website. That's just bad. You want to give them the experience that you gave the client. And you can only really do that, in my opinion, online, especially in terms of web design and stuff like that.
It could make you just look outright lazy to an employer as well. It's like,
That's
don't have time to put up a portfolio.
It doesn't take that long, and we'll segue into the top five with Travis here, me, of
Top
basically.
5 with Travis.
Yeah, top five. So if you want to jump into that,
Do it.
all right. Let's switch here. So
Transition.
yep. So this week's top five, since we're on website design, basically you guys have probably all heard of these, but these are the top five sites, at least in my opinion. I'm sure there's thousands out there that make putting your artwork online very easily. So the first one is Squarespace. I'm sure you've all heard of it. I believe it's a free trial, but if you scroll all the way down on their homepage, the prices are pretty competitive. So it's $8 a month for a personal. You get 20 pages, galleries, 500 gigabytes of bandwidth, and 2 gigabytes of storage. So and it looks like it does have full e-commerce integrated, and you're allowed to sell just one product and accept donations. Obviously, the further up you go, you're going to get more bandwidth, more space. You're going to be able to sell more. But in terms of portfolio, really all you need is the $8 personal. And they have a lot of templates on here. And we'll talk about having these kind of themed sites versus your own custom one after this. But if you're just looking to get your stuff online and you're looking to do it quickly, Squarespace is a great way to go. This next one is called...
I didn't even know about Squarespace until whatchamacallit,
not this Dreaming with Jeff?
Yeah.
This guy?
Yeah. That's the first time I ever heard of Squarespace, and I checked it out.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of promotion with his.
So funny.
They've been putting up a lot of TV ads, I've noticed, too.
Yeah.
They had a Super Bowl commercial.
We've even had clients come in and be like, "Oh yeah, we want a site done, and if you check out this Squarespace site, we like it a lot." It's definitely, they're very, very good at keeping up with like modern trendy sites. So if you look at this, it's very kind of everything's sort of based around this whole new minimal and kind of mobile first sort of design. And that's another thing that's Squarespace. It's going to be 100% mobile friendly.
Actually, that's another very important thing to do if you're. That's a super important thing to look for, because if you're going to put up a portfolio, I'd highly recommend it be portfolio responsive. Because a lot of times when I'm checking my work email, it's on my phone, because it's in this type of industry, you kind of really never get away from work, to be honest.
Yeah.
And so when I see, when somebody wants me to check out a portfolio, a lot of times I'll just bring it up right on my phone, and that impression is very important there too. So
yeah, if it looks
those derail your thing, but just responsive and mobile friendly portfolios is a major thing to look for anymore as well.
Yeah.
And for those people who don't know what responsive design is, that just means that your website is specifically tailored for every device, whether it's a mobile cell phone or
tablet.
A 3-monitor display. It's going to have specific optimizations.
I'm showing that on the screen right now.
Yep.
So you see, if it
responds to the
we have some stuff that we're going to be jumping into behind here later, but if I scroll this all the way down, this is basically the mobile version. The nav turns into a mobile nav, whereas once you hit around tablet, you start to get the full menu. But so that's responsive, and then there's another thing called adaptive, which basically has breakpoints for different screen sizes. And just to show you guys on Squarespace, if you go into the menu and you go to templates, this one here called Wexley, if I do a live preview of Wexley, this is basically what it looks like. So this is great for portfolio. So you can imagine you can just drag and drop your designs in here. So anyway, so definitely a very good site if you want everything to be super quick and easy. This one is somewhat new. I've been seeing a lot of ads about it. I'm not 100% sure what it is in full, but it's called about.me, and I've seen a few people in our community especially start to put them up. And what I from the look of it, it's sort of a very quick way. So this one's about.me, and it's Jonas Camber. It's a very quick way to send someone to. It's kind of like an online resume. You can have a picture, you can have an about, you can have email, you can have links to social media, and then you can have some contact, and then you can see links to my work, and this goes out to his main website. So it's a really cool kind of quick way to get a quick sort of resume on here, and I'm sure if you look around, there's definitely ways to showcase maybe a little bit of work on here as well. But this is also free, and that's about.me. So the next one, I'm sure all of you have probably heard of. It's Behance. So it's behance.net. It's 100% free. I'm sure you can get like a premium version, as most of these sites have. But in terms of getting a portfolio up, I mean, you just simply create an account with your Adobe ID, and there's a lot of cool things out there that you can actually link your Behance to. So you can have a portfolio site that automatically pulls the portfolio pieces that you add to your Behance and display it on your site and stuff like that. But Behance is super easy. You know, as you can see here, I'm just viewing this guy's project. If I go to his main page here, here's his portfolio. You've got his, if he's on a team and what he focuses on, so typography, illustration, graphic design. You've got an about section, clients, web references, networks, and then of course on the right here, you've got his portfolio with his projects, works in progress. So super easy. I mean, you've got the website here and you've got the message. So Behance is probably the easiest way, the 100% free way to get yourself a quote, portfolio online very quickly, very easily, and you're going to get a lot of people in that community checking out your work too. The fourth one is more of the, I consider Dribbble sort of the elite Behance. Dribbble is an invite-only portfolio site, so the only way to actually create a portfolio on here and start posting your work, which they call shots, is to get invited. But it's another kind of way to, sorry, I just got a weird text. It's another way to put your portfolio up, showcase the work, get some responses and stuff like that. But again, this is invite only, but if you get a Dribbble account, it's definitely very good to put on your resume that you've been invited to Dribbble, because the artists out there that are going to be interviewing you or looking at your resume, if they're familiar with Dribbble, they're going to appreciate that you got invited onto it by another artist. This is really cool looking, by the way. Look at that eagle.
Very difficult to get on there.
Yep. Yeah, and the fifth one, which again I think most of you are familiar with, is WordPress. So WordPress again is pretty much 100% free in terms of the platform. Now, in order to have a WordPress.org site, you do have to get a web host and a domain. I believe with WordPress.com, you can actually put up a WordPress site. So yeah, WordPress.com, I can hit create website. And essentially your address will be whatever you want .wordpress.com, and then you can start applying a theme and stuff like that. And I believe it's very similar to kind of like Squarespace in a way, where you have themes and you can add stuff. But if you want to go way more custom, get a really cool theme and stuff like that, WordPress.org, you download it. You do need to know how to set that stuff up. It's more advanced for sure, but allows for a lot more customization in terms of how you want your website to look. So that's it. That's the top 5 portfolios or websites that you can get a portfolio up. So it's Squarespace, about.me, behance.net, which I would recommend the most in terms of, it's free and it's very easy. And of course Dribbble, if you can get invited to Dribbble, or if you know someone that's on Dribbble, you can ask them for an invite. But do know that people that have Dribbble accounts are going to be very selective with who they want to invite, because they're only going to invite the best of the best. And then WordPress. So that is it.
Very nice. That kind of segues into something that I was going to talk about.
What's that?
Can I interrupt you real quick?
Yeah.
One other thing to look at when you're using one of these free sites, though, is if you find other like alternatives to the 5 that Travis mentioned. One thing to look for is, how do I word this? If you put up a portfolio on one of these sites, how enclosed is the person when they're able to look at it? Because I've seen other freebie type portfolio sites that it's, even though it's easy to host your stuff and get it up there, it's also really easy for the person that's looking at it to get into other people's portfolios. So. Right. You kind of want to, keep that in mind, that you want their attention the whole time. You don't want them to easily get lost and go into some other guy's portfolio, and hey,
Who's
that's some cool looking work, you know. So
that's
keep
absolutely
that in
true.
mind when looking at one of these, that you want to keep them in your portfolio. So if you see
Yeah.
easy ways where they can get lost and get out of it, maybe try something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, with that said, for sure Behance is probably the worst you could do. Because when you're on Behance, you're going to get things like related projects. You're going to see comments from other people, other designers, and you can get totally lost in Behance.
Yeah,
So
that's
maybe
pretty
Squarespace is
similar to
probably a
Dribble as
good.
well.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Also, I'd encourage you to do your research on these five and see if you can figure out a way that you can have a custom domain because obviously, something like evaneckerd.com looks better than behance.com/evaneckerd.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
there's that to consider.
Though I do have that, I do have something there too, just in case.
Yeah, yeah. It's always good to offer your work as much as possible, and then sort of that your website can sort of act as a central hub for all of your work, and it's somewhat of a resume with an about me and also an easy way to contact you.
You
So
don't know where a potential client or employer or you know where they're going to come from. So if it is a lot of work, but the kind of the top level domains that offer that stuff, you know, it's good to have a presence there for you know, unless it's something you don't want them to see, then but
Yeah,
it's because you never know where they're going to come in from. They might see your name on a resume and then go straight to a Google search rather than going to your web address. So you don't
mhm.
know. You never know how they're going to get there. You just want them to
and
get there.
hmm
and with the millions of people that use social media nowadays, whether it's Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or Behance or Dribble, all of these social media sites, you're almost like doing yourself an injustice not to have a presence on those sites because, like Evan was just saying, you know every one of those social media sites is an opportunity to generate more clientele. So the more you put yourself out there, the more chances you have to convert somebody who just wants to see your work into a client.
yep.
I don't have a dribble page though, but that's a whole other story.
Dude, dude, I my professor is
Okay.
on there, and it took him. I've been in school now for over 3 years, and when I first got there, I thought, I was like, hey man, could you invite me? And he's like, we'll see. Every quarter, every quarter, man, he would be like, I don't know, man, I don't think you're ready. And it wasn't until last quarter, out of nowhere, boop, got an invite from him. He's like, you're good to go now.
So
And
difficult.
yeah, it's definitely tough. I haven't put anything on there because I'm scared. Uh, no, I think I'm gonna wait. Even though I have the invite now and I have an account, I'm gonna wait until I maybe a year or two when I get some very, very, very solid work to put on there. Just because I don't know why. just I just don't want to put just random stuff up there. I want to be very selective with what I put out there because, like you guys said, there's definitely people out there looking, and if they see one piece that kind of throws them off, and they're kind of like, this isn't that great, it can make or break that opportunity.
So something that I've done a lot of research on recently is with your website, every designer sort of has their niche, right? So you guys are pretty heavily illustration based designers, whereas I'm more of a website designer. And so it really wouldn't be doing myself justice to be putting illustration work at the forefront of my website. And I've read into this sort of here recently because I just redesigned my website um, and I'd kicked around the idea of not really posting a lot of my other work that's outside of web design or web development, and sort of putting that at the forefront, and then sort of making it more difficult to find the other work, which is still good, but not really my focus. What do you think about niche website advertising.
Depends on what jobs you're applying for. So you want to, whatever your role you're trying to get into, I would, if it were me, I would put that at the forefront, right? So
Yeah.
which actually my site's a bad example because I just throw up anything that I enjoy doing. So
Yeah,
You
but
need
you're
that
not
profile.
necessarily really looking though, you know.
right, no. That, for me now, it's just a stomping ground to put my stuff up. But yeah, if you're you want to tailor your portfolio to what you're doing, so or what you want to do. So if you want to an illustration job, you would want to put all your illustration stuff up front, and then maybe somehow within the portfolio say, oh, and I also do logo design, or I also
Yeah.
do photography, or but whatever you're going for, um, I that's I mean my past versions of portfolios have always been web design heavy. It was always screenshots of other websites I had designed, or other sites I had worked on, and kind of sprinkled in was the graphic art or some of the other terrible illustration stuff, and and photography here and there. But it was just so you could also show that, and and I also can wear multiple hats if needed. I may not be a master at any of this stuff, but or professional, but I know enough about it to help you with it, type thing. So um, it the variety there does help, but yeah, whatever you're applying for, I would put that first.
Yep, I agree.
Long story short.
Long story short, put your
Yeah, after.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important to showcase, that you can do other stuff. But, but yeah, I think having your strongest suit in the forefront is a good idea.
Well, it's also whatever you enjoy doing the most, right? So if if you really want to do web design, really want to do it, then I would think that just that would be where your passion lied, anyways, right? So you'd probably have more of it. You'd probably have a more in depth, a little more experience in it than you would other stuff. So um, that's you probably how you'd want to position your portfolio.
Yeah.
So whatever that is that you're passionate about, that you're trying to get a job in. Um,
I think a good example is the Gamer GFX website, because you guys obviously specialize in the mascot logos and the stuff for sports and esports related teams, and that's really at the forefront of the website. But then you also display the other work that you guys do as well.
mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, we try to right up front sort of say this is what we do, this is what we're good at, and then here's some of that stuff. We're not gonna be like highlighting a ton of you know
Mobile apps.
right, yeah, we're not gonna be showing that stuff. We want to show what we specialize in, basically. And we'll always do that too. We've had so many times people say like, well, why don't you just branch out to other stuff other than gaming? And the thought has passed through my mind, but as you said with niche, why do that? It's just going to desaturate our kind of our market.
Yeah.
I think it would be a bad move to do that.
If someone finds you on social media and they're like, "Oh man, this guy is a web designer," and he goes to your portfolio and it's a bunch of illustrations, that could turn him off from your business.
Which is what my website looks like now.
Yeah. Yeah. Once I have my personal website up, it's actually going to be much more kind of web design focused, which I think we're going to get into actually the difference between like web design, web developer, the roles of people when
Yeah.
building a website. But do you guys want to get into that now, or do you want to go through the challenge?
No, let's talk about that a little
Yeah,
bit.
let's talk about that first.
Okay.
We'll go into the challenge and then that'll help us get into next week's challenge, actually.
Yep.
Awesome.
So with web design and web development, what I think the most important thing to just touch on real quickly before I go to you guys is you should know what each of those what each of those people's responsibilities are, and if you're going to go into the web world and you say I'm going to be a web designer, so why do I need to know how to code? So I hear that from some people and vice versa. I'm just writing code, why do I need to know web design, things like that. So Travis, you want to touch on the importance of having being competent in the other one, whether you're a designer
Yeah.
being competent in development and vice versa?
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's exactly the position that I'm in right now at my agency. I'm in school right now to actually learn the development side of things. Having a really awesome slash horrible time with that. Learning, just learning some of the code, man. It's definitely difficult, but basically, if your tasks, it's like being asked if you're going to, I don't know, like, let's say you're a farmer, right? And you're asked to create or to grow a bunch of corn, right? Well, if you don't know how that corn is going to be delivered on a truck, then how are you going to know how to cut it and bundle it the right way so that the trucks can pick it up and actually deliver it, right? So if you don't know development at all and you're saying, okay, I'm just going to build this website, you're going into it really blind in terms of if you don't know the frameworks that the developers are using, you don't know the right widths, you don't know like what web safe fonts are, or you don't know the ins and outs of how it's actually going to be built in the code. You're not going to be making conscious decisions when you're doing the design. You're just going to kind of go at it in more of like a design slash print perspective in a way. And with that said, when we're talking about responsive, you need to consider what is going to happen, and this is probably the most important thing. What is going to happen with this website when it goes down to a mobile view? If you design certain things, very kind of abstract and crazy looking, and you're not even thinking about mobile, then you do need to consider that and sort of create a two-way communication with the developer, like, okay, this is what I plan on this doing when it goes down to mobile, and if you have to show that or design it, then you have to do it. So basically, in short, if it's like I said earlier, if you just don't know how something's going to get delivered, you're not going to do it right, and it's going to be a really messy delivery. You're not going to get the right results that you expected as a designer. You're going to look at the website and say, oh, this is not the right width. Well, if it's not the right width, it's probably because you didn't set it up right in terms of, columns and how the divs are going to be functioning. So, yeah, it's really important to know at least a little bit.
And I've even heard some people say whenever you're designing a website in this day and age, you should design the mobile version of it first and then build up to the screen version of the website, because more people surf the web on mobile phones now than they do on computers.
Yeah, that's a philosophy called mobile first designing, and a lot of places do that. I do the opposite. I still do desktop first, just because I have a really hard time converting mobile to desktop, whereas it feels a lot more fluid and easy for me to convert a design from desktop to mobile. So I guess it's just a matter of what you're used to, but that philosophy is a good one in that, as you said, I mean, statistics now are showing, I think it's like almost half. Like,
it's a lot.
I mean, it's almost half.
It's
like
very
half
near
of the
half.
people going to your site are on desktop, and half are on, like a desktop or a mobile or a tablet. So
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
that's also very specific who your audience is. So if you're
Yes.
selling, I don't know, if you're selling a mobile game, you're gonna want to design a site for mobile first. If you're selling, uh, Wacom tablets. You probably chances are it's somebody that's already working on larger screens anyways, right? Something like
Yeah.
that. So it really depends on what your uh, who's the audience of the site, what eyeballs are you trying to get on the site, and then that would kind of determine uh, where you start at. But as the when like at my job when I'm designing um, web pages, I start desktop first, but it's always like you're saying, Travis, it's always in the back of my mind because I'll usually have two requests per page, and it's the desktop version or the full width version, and then there's usually another request or a ticket that we call them, another ticket for what does the mobile breakpoint look like, and how does what because it's not really what does the design look like, but how does it function, because you're going to have changes there. The menus are going to work differently. Some parts may not even appear on mobile. There's a big shift in what's going to work on a desktop and what's going to work on mobile. But another thing that I've learned is we used to build sites. We used to build like two versions of the site in previous jobs, where we build the
An
desktop
M
version
dot.
that could scale down to maybe 800 pixels if it was a little bit responsive. And then we'd have the mobile version, which was almost a completely different URL, and that still happens from time to time. I think Amazon, bigger sites still use that that type of method, but
Yeah, they do.
being able to code in a responsive manner allows you to kind of sort of kill two birds with one stone. You can just use the same page, same code, and just use the CSS and writing different breakpoints to no matter what device it pops up on, you can
Alter.
it'll work. It
Yeah.
works right.
Yeah,
Um,
the what Evan was talking about is sort of like an adaptive style, and then there's responsive. So the only difference really is responsive uses percentages, so it's percentage of the screen size, whereas adaptive you're basically just editing different breakpoints and you're editing the CSS. So if you
Well, it's
have
usually a mixture, I guess.
yeah,
Usually it's because if I mean,
it's technically adaptive using media queries.
Yeah.
It's like, I guess the way that I understand it is like adaptive is essentially saying it's going to adapt at this screen resolution. It's going to adapt and change, whereas responsive is literally like fluid as you move the screen width up and down. It's but then again, I mean, again, I don't.
Very
It's so
similar.
yeah, they're
I
very
threw out
similar.
the term responsive for it's usually a combination of both. So even though
Yeah.
you have two breakpoints, you have your elements within those breakpoints are going to be responsive to when they get from one to another. So
Yes.
you have, and then so you don't have to rewrite everything for every breakpoint. You can say, as this scales down, it may look funky at 320 width, so I'll write a breakpoint for that one. But you don't have to write a breakpoint for every single resolution for every element on the screen. So it's kind of I've always heard it as responsive, and it was kind of a mixture of both, but adaptive, yeah. I mean, that makes perfect sense as well. So
It's funny because whenever smartphones first started to sort of get traction and people started using them more for web browsing, I was working at a design firm at the time, and they wanted to redesign the website, and then they also wanted to make it mobile friendly. And now what you would do is just have CSS specified towards your regular site based on the screen resolution. But back then, what we did was we had a media query, and it basically said if it's a mobile type device, then just go to a completely separate domain. So we
Yeah.
had rstudio.com, but if it detected that they were visiting the site on this device, it would go to rstudio.mobi.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of sites, well, not a lot, it's very, very rare now actually, but as Evan
Yeah, I
said,
don't know
bigger
if
sites,
most.
like Amazon will actually do like m dot, let me see.
Yeah,
So if
something
you
like that.
guys want to actually check it out, yeah, if you go to m as in mobile dot amazon.com, you'll actually see a sort of mobile version of Amazon, which I think is old and they don't use anymore. I'm not sure, but let me see if I think like Best Buy might still have one. Um, they probably don't. No, it just goes straight to Best Buy.
That's
But
very old practice.
it's a very old practice, yeah, because it doesn't make sense to serve and code and design two different sites when nowadays you can do it responsive and have all the same stuff. And
I
if you
think it's not
guys,
great for search engine
yeah,
optimization as
yeah,
well.
that's true. Hey, so real quick, I'm gonna switch over to this view here. Just to give you guys an idea, this is actually the statistics from Google Analytics for my website, gamergfx.com, just to give you an idea of how much mobile stuff is going on here. So you'll see here desktop, I have 70%, 70.47%, and then for mobile and tablet combined, we're looking at almost 30%. So that is a huge chunk of people visiting my website on a mobile device. So that just tells me, and especially if you have your own site, definitely hook it up with Google Analytics. It'll give you a very good idea of how many people are really going to your site on a mobile device.
Yeah, and just think about that. Like, if Travis didn't have the site set up to be responsive or mobile friendly,
That's
30% of
30%
the people
potential clients
that
that are
come
just
to a
like, nope.
site, it's completely broken, and they are not going to stay on the website for more than 5 seconds.
Yep,
They're
exactly.
like, "Oh, this took like 2 hours to load. Not going to wait for that long."
And it's not just that, it just makes it very, very hard for them to navigate through
Yeah,
and
they got a
actually,
side scroll and
yeah.
all that.
So it's really important.
Not great. Yeah, so that's a pretty good chunk, 30%.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be a little higher. I'm sure
I looked at mine recently.
as the years go by, that number does increase. You know what I mean. Every year, just gonna go higher and higher.
So let's go ahead and talk about the weekly challenge. I was really pleased with the amount of entries and the quality of entries that we got this week. I think Evan actually has them prepared for us to look at.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and switch over here, and it looks like we are starting out with one from Chris Studios.
Yeah, so we got a pretty good response. I was um, the main big challenge was one color or single color, and they all came in one color, which was nice.
No
So
rainbows.
We
No
had to
rainbows.
disqualify
I
anybody.
didn't see any rainbows or anything that was you know let's pull all the Crayolas out of the box and use everything. So it was really good. So the first one we're looking at is for looks like Mullen Fitness. By Chris Studios here, and I think this looks pretty good. I like how it's the bar. I don't even know my gym.
Bar and dumbbells.
Yeah, bar and dumbbells. I like how it forms kind of an oval shape. Looks nice. It's easy to on the eyeballs. The shapes like this, how it's not technically enclosed, but it feels enclosed, and I don't know. I think it works pretty good. Good font choice for a good strong bold font for I would assume a place where I'd go and lift heavy stuff and hurt myself. So
Hmm.
yeah, I thought this one turned out pretty good. What do you guys think?
Yeah, yeah, I really enjoyed it. Whenever I saw it, it sort of has those quintessential things that you look for in a gym logo, that a lot of these sort of gym logos have, but it's also not too literal where you're like, oh, well, it looks just like another gym logo. I think it's pretty unique.
Yeah, I like it too. I like that he showed both the white on dark and then the reverse of that, because that's
Yep.
really important when you're building a brand.
Yeah.
You want to make sure it's going to work on both ways. And I like the subtle kind of image application in the back that sort of gives us a little better feel of sort of the vibe that it's going to give off.
Mhm.
The only two negative things that I would say about it is I would personally like to see more negative space in terms of the logo itself inside of its container. It's just to give, what I mean is the logo within the black frame and the logo within the white frame, give it a little more space, so maybe the logo could be a little smaller. And then in terms of space as well, to me, I feel like the word fitness and the stars could have a little more breathing room between the word Mullen. They're a little tight. So when you zoom way out, they might kind of connect a little bit too much. But other than that, I think the concept of it's great. So good job, Chris Studios.
Yep. That was going to be my one critique, is at a very small
Take a look real
resolution, it would be pretty tough to translate. Like on a business card size, I could see having some issues there.
Yeah, I think this mark would work well just with the Molland by itself too, without the fitness would be because to me that from even when I step back, that looks like like barbells. There's no it can't look like anything else in my opinion.
Yeah.
The only other really small minor critique is that when I first looked at it, I thought it said Milano, so maybe just tightening the corners on that.
That's true. Yeah.
Like, oh, Milano Fitness. Oh
Yeah.
no, Mullen.
I want to point out some cool stuff, and I'm zooming in here. I like the attention to the width of the dumbbell. So if you take a look at the width of the dumbbell, or the weight, it's consistent with the width of the letters. So if you can imagine the width of the weights being thinner, it wouldn't work as a solid mark. So good attention on that.
Yeah.
You want to head on to the... Yeah.
Good job all around.
All right, next up.
So next up, we have one by EV879. We have Bearwear clothing. Looks pretty cool. It's got kind of that vintage feel. It's I like the even though it's a single color, it looks like it's a darker green, which is kind of cool. So overall, I think it's pretty nice pass at the logo and pretty cool. Some minor things maybe is just making sure that when it does scale down, everything's still readable, everything still makes sense to old guys like me and with bad eyes. But as far as the challenge, I think it turned out pretty cool.
Yeah.
Big angry bear.
I did pick up on the vintage feel, like you were saying as well, and it's not so literal. A lot of those vintagey logos can sort of look similar to each other. So I think you did a good job at bringing out that style, but not being too cliche with it.
Yeah.
When I'm looking at it, I would have. Maybe it's just me eyeballing it weird, but it looks like that premium brand isn't centered up on the Bearwear. Am I crazy or?
It's.
Close.
Oh, I see what you're saying. If I put a vertical here, it's looks like it's on there. It's just a little off, maybe like 2 pixels. It could be rotated a little bit around that circle.
Yeah.
But
by the way, did we say who the? Oh yeah, we said EV.
Yeah, EV879. Yeah.
These are their Twitter handles, so
make sure
check them out.
Make sure you guys follow these guys. Show some support that they took this challenge upon themselves to.
Not an easy challenge. Not
it's
as
very
easy
hard.
as,
Yeah. So even if we're critiquing, it's by all means, all of these turned out pretty cool. They're really good submissions.
Yeah.
So.
My only comment really is more of a compliment. I'm just a big fan of the green that he used here.
Yeah.
It's like kind of olive, kind of green color. It's pretty nice.
Very earthy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, really the only thing that I would double check on this logo is when you scale it up and down, maybe playing around with the font sizing and pushing the type a bit more with a little bit of breathing room and such, because when you do scale it down, the premium brand it might start to blur into the ring there, but
scale it down for us, Travis.
Yeah, but overall I think it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I think you've got a lot more room around the circle to work with. So as Evan said, you could definitely play with the type a little bit more. And then I like the line work of the bear, and I like that. I think you were probably going for like a hand-drawn sort of feel. So that's definitely what I'm gathering here. So
Yeah, everything's not sharp and jagged, like a mascot logo would be.
Right, exactly. Because I was gonna go into be like, oh well, maybe these could be sharper, but then it's not really a mascot logo. It's more of a. I could see this as like a hunting club, or so I don't know. Not that
I
you're
could
gonna
see
go
the
hunt bears,
bear,
but
the bear being like on a patch, like on the
yeah,
outdoor wear or something.
yeah.
Nice
All
job,
right.
though, camping.
It does, yeah. It's good. All right, so next up,
Yeah,
Raise
next
Ink.
up is Raise Ink. Let's see. So this one, this is a very what's the term I'm looking for? Aggressive looking logo, but
Yeah.
it's also like the shield shape. Reminds me of like a soccer, or I should say, I guess football. I'll get canned by all the UK guys,
Yeah.
right?
Football.
It reminds me of a kind of a European football team.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say soccer. I'm sorry, the Yankees.
it is very football club, very very football club esque. I agree with that for sure.
Yeah.
Mascot logos obviously Travis's niche, so you're probably wanting to hear his opinion over all of ours. But one thing that just for me, I couldn't whenever I was looking at this at first, this center portion, I wasn't sure if that was an ear or part of his jaw or what we were going for there.
I'm pretty
And
sure
like
that's his
maybe that's just
ear.
me.
Yeah, that was gonna be my only comment too. I think the transition from the upper lip to the ear is a little awkward in terms of how it comes up and connects, but I will also say that the entire like overall look and feel of this is definitely something where I mean the shield shape and the panther or whatever tiger kind of cat is in there is familiar to me, but the actual style and the execution and the shapes is something that I haven't seen, which is really a good breath of fresh air. Like the way that
That's actually kind of cool.
yeah, the way that the nose actually comes off and cuts back in, and then the way that the eye doesn't have any kind of true sort of literal eye shape that you're usually used to seeing in mascot logos. It has a very like techie, aggressive, like very abstract kind of feel. That's the word I was looking for. It's kind of like a very abstract mascot. So that's very cool. So I
Kind of created his own creature out of several
yeah, yeah,
cats.
and just these little details here with the little slashes are nice. But the only weird thing to me is this transition right here, from the forehead kind of up to the neck is a little thick. I would actually bring this down a little bit more just because it feels almost like goo, like it's gooing into the shield or something. Do you know what I mean? Like it's kind of like being magnetized up into the shield. I would like to see it maybe actually flow into the shield a little bit more fluid instead of very sharp, like a very sharp angle into it. But other than that, I mean, I'd give it like a 10 out of 10 in terms of
Other
style
than that,
and
yeah, the
yeah,
line widths are very good.
yeah,
Cool. So good job, Raising.
Good
And I
job,
like the
Raising.
color. It's like on my screen. It's almost like a desaturated midnight blue, which is
yeah.
kind
That's what I'm looking at too. Here's the
Yeah.
color if you guys want to see. Yeah, I like that color a lot too.
of very
All right,
cool.
so next
All right,
up,
so next up we got Zach Studios.
with a rocket to the moon.
Yeah. Now
It's a pin tool, right?
I just saw that pin tool in there.
Yeah. See,
I didn't realize it until I was saving these for Evan.
Nice.
yeah. I thought that was pretty cool. I like how the stars in the background actually are more just X shapes. which thought
Yes,
was
I
kinda
love that.
It does when you're backed up. It does.
It does what
Even
it
though
needs to.
I can't tell specifically that they're X shapes. They
They
hold
look
a
like
solid
stars.
shape, but they look more like they're twinkling rather than just dots or something. So,
Yeah.
Very organic.
And I'm
Yeah.
zooming in and out here on the stream, and I think everyone else looking at the video now can appreciate that too. That it really still holds its shape, no matter how zoomed in or zoomed out you get. It definitely holds the all the elements of the logo are still there.
I've seen a lot of other logos that are very similar to this as well, but this looks pretty cool. I like the use of negative space in this one is really good. I mean, I like how it's almost like half and half. You can back up and it almost looks like a planet, which gives it, like the dark side of the moon and the reflective side, which also gives it that more, space feeling, which is kind of cool. So I like it.
What do you think, Nick?
Very good. Very good. Yeah, like I said, I didn't realize the pin tool thing until recently, but it is very good, and I feel like the breathing room that the ship has from the clouds, and the ship has from the stars, and the stars have from the border, and the rocket has from the border. It's all very, very good. Like it has just enough breathing room. That's kind of what some of the others had run into. Whenever you scale them down to a very small size, some of the details are lost. But in this one, the spacing is very good.
Yep.
It
All
fills
right.
it up without being too cluttered.
Yeah. All right, Zach Studios, great job. Next up,
Zach _.
We got Mason Designs. So this is pretty cool. It's I guess just an S, which it's a very minimal logo, but I like how just with breaking up the outer circle and the angle that the S is on, it gives it a lot of action. It feels like it's moving, which is kind of cool. So it's not just an S in a circle. There's a couple little hints of action in there that helps pull the logo up and makes it work pretty good. So yeah, I got a kick out of this one.
yeah, I like it too. It's definitely just like the one with Raise Inc. It's I've seen logos like this, that are similar, but I definitely haven't seen this sort of like, especially what he's doing with the S, kind of making it very like fluid, and so it's like it still has those aggressive sort of angles, but it still feels sort of organic inside of there because of the curves added.
Mm-hmm.
That ring shape is really it's. I could see this used where you could easily take that S out and drop something else in and turn it into like a grouping of icons or an icon family for this whatever this S brand would be. You could do something. You could use that shape across other elements in the brand and have it. Have it.
Whenever I first glanced at this logo, whenever I saw it on the Twitter, I thought that for a second it was like the Twitter bird.
Oh,
The
like a
top
beak.
part is a beak, and the part is the tail, and then the S is sort of like a wing, a little
Yep.
bit.
Yeah.
And then obviously looking at it further, that's probably not his intention, but it could be. It's open to interpretation.
Yeah.
The only thing I saw that I would change is on the S's, on the ends of the S. I might have
The little
brought
curves
those.
here that come down,
Yeah, I would have brought them more to a point, maybe, instead of
kind of a curve.
have that little serif.
Yeah, I can see that too.
I think I might have brought it to a point like the circle is.
Yeah. What I definitely appreciate in it is that the elements, and just like the ones we've seen so far too, but especially on this one, the elements that build the logo are very brandable in terms of even animation. Like I can see this circle being like spun around and then the spikes like come out of it and stuff. And also on the screen here, if I invert it, it looks great. If I desaturate it, it looks great. So a very, very simple, effective logo, or mark, I should say.
Yep. Yeah. Another thing for presentation is that I also like that it's another. It's a different color. It's not just black or white. It's kind of like a deep brown against this pale yellow background, which is a nice change too. So
Yeah.
Color is your friend.
yes, so
Yeah.
it's still one color, but it's presented very cool. So good
Yeah.
job.
And- Yeah, and the background color is actually important in this as well. If he had just thrown this on a white background, it may have not been
Yeah.
as impactful.
Yeah, you get a different effect, different mood. All right, so next up,
Next up is Will P Concepts, and I've been keeping an eye on Will for he doesn't know, but I've been stalking him for a while now. And This logo is, I mean, come on, it's pretty cool. It's Darth Vader. I mean, how can you?
How can you? Yeah.
You cheated and appealed to our nerd senses.
Yeah, yeah. Now, if you went and printed this, you'd probably get sued by Disney and Lucas and everyone. But it's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm in the same boat. In terms of the design, I can definitely appreciate it and really, really like it. But that little thing in the back of my head keeps going, copyright, but
That aside, it
yeah.
looks awesome. I love how the mask is, how he's blacked out everything under the shield and only pulled out is the the face part.
Oh, I love this pattern right here on the chin.
Yeah.
If you zoom in, it's like a diamond pattern I think he used to build that maybe.
Yeah.
That's just cool.
Yeah.
Really, really great use of negative space in this.
Mhm.
Just
The
excellent.
using a traditional medallion type or emblem type feel is nice too. I like these medallions really work well when you've got the spacing tightened up. So there's looking at dark side apparel. There's as much margin above the type as there is below it in between each of the circles. So
Yeah.
it's got plenty of breathing room where the design doesn't come apart like there's too much, but it's not too tight where everything feels cramped and busy. So it's a good, really good example of margins and breathing room. And I like how the kerning,
Tracking.
tracking.
Travis with the win.
those typography things.
So yeah, real good job, Will. And I like the little subtle tag off to the left, telling us the title of the logo. That's a nice touch. When I put this against a bigger background, so when this was first submitted, the border of the image was right at that tag, so it looked like it was overlaid, which looked nice. So
Yeah.
we left that in there too.
I like that, and this is for a lot of people that kind of rush, especially for myself too. But like when you finish the mark, the Darth Vader helmet, that wasn't the end of it. I can tell that you took time to think about how am I going to, I need to give the helmet some grounding, right? So you designed this little, I don't know what you'd call them, like these little black things here that connect out into this inner black circle, and then you have the text around that, and then you have the circles around that. If you didn't pay attention to that or you didn't consider that, it would feel very kind of like unconnected in terms of
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it was intended, but where the bottom of the helmet is, that how it's a I don't want to say what's the term? It's repeated. You know what I mean? It's repeated of the shapes on the left and right, but it almost looks like the reflection off his neck bones. So it helps it feel more like.
Oh yeah, I see.
It's not floating on top of this thing, like it's kind of built around the helmet. So
Yeah.
that's kind of like the arrow and the FedEx logo in my
Yeah, that kind of subtle little negative space, and then
Yeah. Yep. So great job, Will. Really.
Good job, Will.
Yep.
All right, next up.
So I got a kick out of this logo.
I did too.
By JB128 underscore. I looked him up on Twitter. The underscore is very important. If you don't have that, it's some other JB128. So JB128 underscore.
I love this, man.
Yeah, and it's a film strip logo. But just the angle and perspective that it's at is pretty cool. I mean, it's a very you guys have seen film and negative logos everywhere. I mean, they've been around forever. But this to me looks like it could be it also helps show kind of a journey, a path or a direction. So it's really minimal, but I think very effective. So
I kind of got that motif as well, where it's a film strip, but it also kind of looks like a road traveling off into the distance.
Yeah.
So really nice job there, switching up the angle to give it some more interest.
Yeah, I love that it almost it may just be my eyes tricking me, but it almost looked like there's a slight curve. Maybe not. I'm using the pen tool here to see.
Here it goes up,
Maybe it's not. But
kind of like
like right
curves
here
up.
on the bottom left, yeah, on the bottom left, it almost looks like it has a slight kind of like it's kind of curving up just a little bit, and
Twist.
it gives, yeah, exactly. It's like twisting just a tiny bit. But again, I just
I
use the
think
pen
it's an
tool, and
optical illusion.
yeah, I think so too. It's almost like your mind wants it to do that, and because of the angles and the perspective, it's sort of doing that automatically. But this is great though. It's so simple.
Yeah, a subtle touch is I like how every rectangular shape has a rounded corner. You know,
Mm.
Yeah,
that just helps soften it up too, which is nice.
yeah.
What do
People
you
want
guys
to.
think about um, if he did a little cutout line that's like 1 or 2 pixels wide inside the bigger rectangles?
I don't
Like,
know. I
Sort of.
think I think the big solid shapes are really giving it that effectiveness. That's
Yeah, people on the screen can see it, but if you guys are in Photoshop, if you just Control I and invert the colors, it just really shows how this mark would work great even in reverse.
Actually, now that I look at it, he could actually even lose that fourth all the
Yeah,
way in the frame and cut it down to just a three, and it
I
would
think so
work.
too. Yeah, and that kind of will give it a little bit more. They always say like it's kind of like the rule of thirds.
The
Yeah,
threes, yeah.
and yeah, the rule of thirds, rule of threes. Yeah, you want to keep things odd, and when you do that, it sometimes helps with some visual, um, just uh, just a more aesthetically kind of pleasing. And just to show you, I'm gonna actually really quickly here
You're gonna chop it off.
I'm gonna mess with your logo, JB. So if we chop off this fourth one here, here's what the mark looks like, and I mean, it looks, I would say probably better, but I mean it works without the fourth one as well, or with the fourth one I should say. You, I don't know, man. I think
Yeah.
on this one I can dig it both ways really.
And I like how he did 6 squares per large square on every single one of them. Even though they're getting larger, he he did adhere to that. You know,
Yeah.
it's like a pattern.
Hmm. Repetition
Good
is
job.
when done right, it's very good.
Yep.
Yeah. All
So you
right.
could put this anywhere, and it still translates as a film strip, which is the mark of, which is you know something that you want in your marks is to for it to make sense in any context.
Yeah. Good job,
Great
JB.
job. JB128 underscore.
Underscore.
Underscore. All right, next
Don't
up.
forget that.
So next up is Storm AFK.
Storm Muff AFK.
Storm.
The double M. Yep.
I like
This was cool.
this
I
is
like
cool.
the presentation against the kind of cardboard paper background. I had to repeat it to fill the screen, but it was nice to see something. Another submission come through where it was in a different presentation in different environment. So I thought that was pretty cool. I like the mark. I think I like the icon off to the left. It's an interesting shape off by itself. I was looking at that for a little bit, just kind of checking it out. It was giving me ideas for other stuff.
Yeah. I think the whether it's a font or hand drawn, it plays well with the main like figure 8 mark over here to the left. Um, I guess my only two negatives about it would be maybe size and proximity in terms of that mark to the text. It feels a little bit overpowering to the text, but not much. I think the scale could be sized down just a little bit. And then
I wonder, yeah. Sorry.
the only other thing that is sort of catching my eye is right in this area. If you look at where the left sides of the A comes down, it feels a little mechanical and not as fluid as the rest of it. It kind of goes into a straight line and then dips down.
Oh yeah.
Um,
pen tool likes to do that if you don't.
Yeah, it really
Yep.
does. Yeah, it's really tough to get very, very fluid. Because the bottom two, on the bottom right, just to the left of the C, they look very fluid.
Yeah.
But the ones
Yeah.
on the far left look got a little bit of jagged in there. But other than that,
It's
this is
like
really
it
cool.
didn't use a Bezier curve for that one.
Well, Illustrator or Photoshop like to do. They get wonky sometimes. I have trouble like uh, controlling that as well. I'll get a shape going, and then all of a sudden you get like a flat spot, and it's like, ugh, it just doesn't want to.
Yep.
And then you try to work on it for like 3 hours until
Yeah,
you
you
just delete the
bullshit
line and
start
redraw
over.
it every time. Yeah, and I think that the eight mark could work on its own without the text as well, which is good.
Yeah. I almost wonder what this would look like with a different treatment to the text, and just using that 8 shape or uh, the more infinity shape on the left, as the more standalone. It's an interesting shape. I get a kick out of it because it looks like it's got a shadow. It looks like it works as a shadow, and then of itself, and then other times it looks like a solid shape. It could go. The illusion looks like you could be looking at it from above or below, or it's
Yeah.
it's cool.
It's definitely unique.
Yep.
That's for sure. It's great.
So good job, Storm, with 2 M's, AFK.
Storm.
And then the last one isn't really a logo, but I put it in here because it just looks cool. I mean, it's an illustration, and it says illustration.
Yeah.
But I got a kick out of this. It's all seeing something completely hand drawn come through. Just the shapes of it. It reminds me of it kind of reminds me of some book covers that I saw that were like 60s and 70s sci-fi. I mean, even though it's got the kind of the heraldry and the older English type stuff, off the left and right. I remember seeing this style come through on like for novel covers and stuff. So I don't know. I'm a sucker for this type of illustration. I love just the shapes and the geometric parts and
The inverse version of this is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like a chalk almost or something. It kind of lets your eye sort of take in the details a little bit better.
Yeah.
But man, I just love this. I love how he's kind of combining. And by the way, this is at will_tree17.
Yep.
I love that. Well, I love 2 things about it. I love that he's combining something that is organic, like the waves, with something very sharp, like these almost like gem-looking cut diamond shapes here, or these hexagons. But what I really love about it the most, and I can tell that it was hand drawn. I love that it's symmetrical, but I guess the word would be asymmetrical. You've got these diamond shapes and stuff, and even on the top, and then this portion down here, just above the scroll-looking thing, it's not perfectly symmetrical. You have some different details kind of going on. Like in the left diamond, you have these little dots and then like an X, but then in the right one, you don't have that. Because I think if it was completely symmetrical, it wouldn't be as good in terms of I could stare at this for like 30 minutes, honestly. Just like it's like the design on like a dollar bill or something, or you can just like has all these tiny little details, and it just feels like there's I have so many different emotions and stuff going on in my head as I look at it, and that's pretty cool.
Turn into a pattern. It would just look freaking awesome.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. Even I mean, ornate ocean. I mean, as far as doing an illustration that illustrates ornate ocean, I think you nailed it. So
yeah. It's almost like it almost kind of gives you that fleur-de-lis feeling.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I like it. And in the tweet that he sent it to us, he said he didn't have time to vector this out. So seriously, I challenge you to vector this because I want to see it vectored up. And if you do that, we'll feature it on the show after you do it, because I want to see
I want to see like
this
if you did a
effective
full
form.
color of this, I can just see some like crazy blues and teals and like even some pops of like pink or something in there.
Yeah,
It would
he
be really
could go
cool.
real Mardi Gras with this if he wanted.
Yeah. Yeah. Now to go,
I
but to
like how it just turned out. It looks like old school book illustration or something.
yeah. Now obviously, as Evan said, this isn't necessarily a logo. It can be considered a logo, but obviously in terms of like application, you'd run into some issues.
Printing this would be a
Yeah.
nightmare.
Imagine going to say, "Hey, embroider this in my hat." They'd be like, "What?"
Oh, yeah, they freak out. But you could pull major shapes out of this,
Yeah,
simplify them,
definitely.
and keep the same composition and turn it into a logo. Like
Yeah. So if I just
easily, if you turned everything into like bigger shapes of just one color, you know, the shadow, the bottom shadow of the fleur de lis looking shapes, you know, and step back and simplified it, you could still easily have an illustration version and an actual logo that you can shrink down.
Yeah, I can see these. Like if you on the screen here, if I turned it into like solid shapes almost, and if I zoom way out, you can sort of start to see how those shapes would be built and to build a logo. It definitely looks pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So very
You almost get a tentacle type feel whenever you.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looks like. It looks more like
waves.
a giant squid coming out of the ocean, kind of carrying like a gem-shaped
The
ship.
gem or the gems are just like his eyes.
Oh yeah, I see that.
It's like. Yeah. So
if
overall,
you get a chance-
fantastic.
Oh yeah, sorry to cut you off, Nick. Go ahead.
That's fine. Yeah, overall, I was really impressed, especially with the time constraint that we sort of put on it here. I was impressed with the results and golf clap to everyone.
Yep.
Yeah, great job, guys.
Definitely go to these guys' Twitter and or gals or whoever it is and
Aliens.
Or aliens.
Tell them they did a great job and really good stuff. So
I'm not going to make any promises this week, but I'm going to try to put their links in the description.
okay, we can do
But
that.
I'm not promising. Because last time I promised and I got chewed out.
So I guess we should talk about next week's challenge or this week's challenge. This was a really good, really good round of submissions for the logo challenge. And if you're looking at if you're watching episode 1 again, and or you haven't seen it yet, or you're just now watching it, this doesn't make any sense. If this is the first time you've seen that challenge, feel free to do it though, and you can always tweet us what you come up with, even if we're not on that episode. So that didn't make any sense, but you guys know what I'm talking about.
I got it.
We love seeing your work, so send it to us.
But this week's challenge, since we're on the theme of web design, we were kicking around ideas before, and we're thinking this week the challenge is to make a one-page website, not to build a website, but just design a one-page website for your favorite Walking Dead character.
I'm so excited. I'm so doing this challenge, man.
So I'm not talking about the actor or actress, specifically. I'm talking about the character. So when we were brainstorming with Travis, he had a lot of great ideas of what you guys could put in there. I'll let him run over those here in a minute, but think of it as you're making, rickgrimes.com. What would be that character's kind of.
Think of it as like a fan page almost.
Yeah, like a one-shot bio of this character. So
Yeah.
That's the challenge. Travis had some really good ideas for like what you could put in there. So if you want to.
Yeah, sure. And just to be clear, you guys watching this and that are going to participate in the challenge, we're not necessarily looking for you to code this site because
No, not by
yeah,
me.
we're talking straight Photoshop or Sketch or whatever program you use to build or to design a website. That's what we're looking for. We're not looking for crazy interactivity. Now, if you go that extra mile, we're going to give you 2 high fives. And you want to code it,
I might have to just mail you something. So
yeah, that'd be crazy, man. So yeah, just pure flat, do the design, and then the way to submit that, probably the best way is sending us a very large JPEG or using Behance or find a good way to present
Dropbox
that.
or something.
Yeah, Dropbox link or something like that. That way we can see the full, because I don't want to put it on the screen next week, and it's really really tiny. So I would definitely recommend, save out
If you
the
want to post it
full.
as an image on Twitter and then give us the full resolution link, that'll work.
Yeah, but
Probably design it as you would looking at it on a desktop.
Yep.
If that makes it easier, just so maybe, you know, 1140, 1200 pixels wide for desktop.
Yep.
The length can be whatever, however long it needs to be.
Yeah, it can be a very
if you
tall
want to get really
site.
crazy and design for mobile, though, that's fine too. So
Yeah, if you do a mobile version, that'd be pretty cool as well.
One thing I want to point out, especially to those of you that either aren't very familiar with coding or designing, I keep saying coding, designing websites, or you're not too sure about how to do it. Like Evan said, if you just Google like Bootstrap PSD or 1200 pixel grid PSD, it'll give you kind of a little framework. And keep in mind that it can be as wide as you kind of need it, but the content needs to fit into that width, and then it can be as tall as you want. But to get into the actual what you could design, like Evan said, rickgrimes.com. So what would be the content? So this is what's going to make the design stand out, right? So in terms of content, depending on which character you choose, you could do things like you could do a big hero image with some great photography, and the reason we chose this too is because you're going to be able to find oodles of great photography of each of these characters on Google, and keep in mind it's totally okay to use this. Use the photography, but you can't turn around and try to sell the site with those photos or something like that. Okay, so it's more of kind of like an
just for fun.
Yeah, just for fun. Yeah, so you're totally fine to use any image you find on the internet. So you could start off at the top with a quick little bio section. You could have like some photo gallery. One cool thing that I think I'm going to try to tackle is maybe you could do some like statistics. So I'm sure there's got to be a site out there where if you just Google like Walking Dead zombie kill statistics or something, you can find out like how many zombie kills Rick Grimes has had up to this
You
point.
can make it up too. I mean,
Yeah, you can make it up totally.
Having that type of content would be cool.
Miles walked.
Yeah,
like
I was thinking like weapon of choice. And
yeah, totally. Weapon choices is like his little sheriff pistol or whatever he had, and
doing like an image progression of his hair and beard, how it grows.
Dude, that is golden, man. There's so much you could do with it. Like, you could do. I'm sorry, I gotta lower my voice. Yeah. You could do like Miles walked. Number of times they cried. Like. So there's really a ton you can do with it. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. I can't personally wait to actually do it. I might actually start it tomorrow.
Let's
and again, go ahead.
Let's ramp it up a little bit too, and let's just say we will pick a favorite from the submissions that we submit, and I'll give them a PayPal gift card for $20.
I'll up that another 20, so 40.
I guess I got to do the same. So
you
there
better.
You go.
$60, guys.
Yep. So if you're watching this, design, not code, design a Walking Dead character profile site based around one character from The Walking Dead. It can be any character you want. It could even be I had the idea of maybe you could even do a zombie if you want to. Like, just have fun with it. Again, the content can be anything. We're going to be judging this on basically originality, design, execution, all the standard kind of artistic things.
Usability.
We're going to be looking at that stuff. So. Again, the number one winner next week, when we record next week's episode, that winner is going to get $60 PayPal.
$60, guys. That's a pretty good commission for a one PSD.
Having fun.
Yeah, having fun. And you know what's really cool about this, and I didn't even think about it, is it would actually, if you really try hard and you do an excellent piece, that's a great portfolio piece to add into your portfolio.
Yeah.
Guaranteed, well, not guaranteed, but very good chance of a potential employer getting a good chuckle out of this and remembering your portfolio because he saw something or he or she saw something like that in there. So,
And if you don't watch The Walking Dead and you still want to tackle this challenge, I'm sure you could find a lot of clips on YouTube, some like short clips. I'm sure they're
If you,
anywhere on the internet. You could
yeah,
probably
I'm
find them.
pretty sure the first couple seasons at least is on Netflix, I believe.
Yeah,
So,
it's
I mean,
definitely on Netflix.
if you want to take just a couple hours or something, just watch maybe the first season, just to get an idea for the show and the characters. Obviously, there's some
It's an amazing
newer,
show.
yeah, there's some newer characters, but I mean, there's definitely a good, more than I can count on two hands characters in the show.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, a lot of variety. So,
Yeah.
all right, guys. So make sure that you guys send us those submissions. Again, try to provide a full resolution version link to it if when you send it to us on Twitter at Ctrl+Z and definitely hit us up with those. And you got a week. Actually, you've got a week and a day because next we'll be moving back to Mondays per usual. So.
to interrupt, actually, also if you want to at them at me because
Yeah.
I'll be compiling it. Try to take it off your shoulders, Nick. So add it both. Add it Ctrl+Z, and if you remember, add it me as well, and all, so I can get a head start on it.
Which is at Evan Eckert.
Yeah, my hitchhiker thumbs. Look at that. So yeah,
All of our Twitters are above us, so you can tag all of us if you want to. Actually,
I'm excited about this.
yeah, can't wait to see what you guys come up with.
Hey, so what happens if I win?
Just so you know, Travis is already disqualified before.
then you only get $40.
Damn.
Easy. If Travis wins, he's gonna pay himself $20,
Yeah.
and me and Evan are gonna stiff him.
I'll pull it up. I'll pull it. That'd be fantastic.
I'm looking at the cast on Google, and I'm thinking, it'd be cool. It'd be cool to do one of when, because some of these characters got turned into zombies, so it'd be pretty cool to do, the before and after, like, hey, I'm alive, and there's a dead version of whoever.
I think I'm gonna try some sort of like timeline looking thing too, for a section.
Yeah.
Like,
Nice.
that'd be kind of cool. I like your idea of like beard progression. That's freaking awesome. Because he looks like Santa at this point. Like,
Unless you do Glenn, and then it's 0 progression.
dude. By the way, just so you guys know, my personality, I'm definitely gonna be judging like the comical parts of it too. Like, if you make me laugh, like you get bonus points too. But don't go too like stupid with it,
Yeah.
I want to see you had fun doing it. If I can tell you had fun putting it together, that I can tell.
Yeah, definitely bounce around some ideas. You're welcome to submit your ideas to us and see what we think. We'll give you our thoughts on them. So just have fun with it, guys. We really look forward to your submissions. I think it's even more challenging than the one color logo. So have at it and let your creativity run wild and
Again, any character. It can be any character.
Any character.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to see like 20 Rick Grimes.
And bonus points if you come up with a unique URL. Just saying. Just saying.
Rick Grimes beardprogression.com.
We're gonna have to do one too because I
Coral.com.
Coral. Where's Coral?
Who was the guy? I want to do one of the dude with the mullet.
Oh yeah.
Eugene.
Hey, where's Coral.com is available.
Oh my god. Doesn't have to be available.
Oh man.
But so definitely check that out. And if you're watching the live shows, that's twitch.tv/CtrlZcast. So if you're not watching live shows, join us on Monday nights. We usually try to go between 8 and 10 Eastern, and we'll announce it on the Twitter specific times when we know, which is twitter.com/CtrlZcast. That branding.
You're
And
ridiculous, man.
youtube.com is where we will post the re-airings for people who can't make it to the live show, which is youtube.com. And as you would guess, twitter.com/CtrlZcast.
Yep.
Dad
And
branding.
unfortunately, we're not on the Nike site.
Not
Not on the
yet.
Nike side. Someone pointed out. Very
And at
rude.
Nike.com/CtrlZcast. I thought for sure we were. We got to talk.
It was a limited time offer. It was a limited time offer. It only lasted for 10 seconds. So if you got in on that,
Oh, hey, their CMO is calling me right now. So
Okay.
Yeah.
no, I might want to take that call.
okay.
But yeah, so check us out. Not sure if Josh is going to be on next week. We're crossing our fingers that he gets everything set up there. But you can look forward to Musketon being on the show,
I'm looking forward
and
to that.
it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
So tune in next week, guys, and make sure you spread the word about the show. And any last words, guys?
I really appreciate all the logos that you guys submitted, and I'm very excited to see these Walking Dead character sites.
Yeah.
Thank you
It's
for
gonna be
joining.
We'll see
All right,
you on
guys.
Wednesday.
We'll
Yep.
see you later.
Bye.